provided for Sableye that's not necessarily provided like a Pokemon like Blissey or Clefable or Hoopa.
Well, we can see that we do have Nouns Esports over on the purple side, Orange Juices on the orange side, of course. Our bands are coming on through, and you mentioned Leafeon paired up with a Sableye. Well, they've actually decided to take away that key component being the Leafeon.
Yeah, I'm sure these teams have had a lot of steady time against the other, as both of them are the regional finals champions. Leafeon, one of Kratos' most played Pokemon and most successfully played Pokemon as well, is going to be taken away. So a couple of Pokemon that I'm going to be looking for Kratos to pick up, potentially a Mimikyu. I know he plays that Pokemon quite a bit, and Dodrio as potentially a 10th pick option is a really strong one for him.
I don't think we've actually seen any Mimikyu at all here, the competition this weekend. I mean, I myself am rocking a little bit of a ghost getup, so I would love to see some ghost Pokemon come out. But we do have that Hoopa. But over on the side of Orange Juices, we have those first picks locked in, Snorlax and Blaziken. And, well, Blaziken secure, that's something that is difficult to combat into.
Yeah, and one of the best pilots to do so, OG in the top path, most recently being picked up by the Orange Juicers this year, and what a performance he has been playing. I haven't seen him play Lucario yet this weekend. I would love to see him play that one towards the end of this tournament. Of course, they got to go through Nouns Esports, and boy, this is going to be an electric game, if I have to say.
Two Pokemon we actually mentioned here, the attackers, Mew, rocking that 21% win rate, but we also have Armarouge, another one of your picks that you mentioned, has come in here and there, rocking that 16% win rate.
Yeah, Armarouge has been a really...
pick rate.
Yeah,
no, win rate.
Armarouge has been a really interesting Pokemon. We don't typically see this in both the ranked environment and competitive. It's a Pokemon that's honestly stand out in just this weekend. The cool thing about these international championships is that they develop metagames within just the event, and I feel like Armarouge is one of those Pokemon that has seen so much playability this weekend that we haven't seen anywhere else.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't get to watch their scrim, so maybe this could just be the secret key that teams have been holding on to. But yeah, I guess that's the thing. As teams do end up watching these other teams play on stage, especially on the B stage as well, you kind of learn to pick these up and know, hey, this is working out well. Let's try and adapt that. But I don't know what ends up going on behind the scenes with these teams, but I know that we have them rocking both a bird on either side. Dodrio played by Gatlu there, and Kratos has locked in that Talonflame, but it doesn't have the Hoopa, which I feel like is a great combination to that Talon, especially when it's diving on in.
Yeah, might be going Fly with this one. It's a little more conservative. You can get out pretty easily when you have Fly on cooldown. Pretty high cooldown for both of those abilities, however. I want to go back to Gatlu on this Dodrio. It's a Pokemon we don't see very often, at least nowadays, but when they do play it, expect Gatlu to be on the right sides of your screen, as they are on the purple side, on the right side of those screens, harassing this Mew in the back line.
I guess that is going to have to be the key for them, whether they can even get into the back line, especially when you have to go into a Snorlax. But folks, we are heading on into our first match of the quarterfinals for Nouns Esports up against Orange Juices. Here we go.
Regional champion showdown here in the quarterfinals. Again, best of 3 to move on forward. Winner of this is going to be facing Revelation in the semifinals.
And all of these squads do have that world spot, so this is for all the marbles, the lion's share of the prize pool after all. But down in that bottom path, we have Adesu paired up with Bruv. They need to try and get that level 4, get that Espeon, and just to see whether we have a Psyshock or a Stored Power Espeon this time around.
I haven't seen this in quite some time. The mirror or the matchup between an Espeon and a Mew, I feel like this is maybe a year or two ago in Pokemon Unite. You only saw these two attackers in the bottom path. Cool to see these attackers still relevant in the metagame.
I've got to say that time has definitely flown, though. The fact that we are heading on into our 4th anniversary for Pokemon Unite. I mean, I don't know how you're keeping track of this timeline, but Gatlu waiting for a dive does end up getting pushed back by that light screen, has opted for that tri-attack move to try and weaken and slow down their opponents.
It is going to be a Psyshock on Adesu on his Espeon, really leaning into the securing tools to capture these objectives in the game, but deals a massive amount of damage in the mid to short range if they are able to land it.
Oh, the tackle from Zugrug to get themselves out of harm's way. Sometimes you just got to use it more defensively than aggressively. But we have Gatlu going back to that central area as we see a little bit of a tussle going up in the top half.
Yeah, here comes the Fletchinder, maybe able to get tuned, but here's that shield coming in from the Hoopa to help them retreat back to their tier 1 goal zone. They are able to KO the Orange Juicers there, Fletchinder going down.
Fletchinder going down, which means they have been kept at bay. We already have 3 level 6s on the side of Nouns Esports. The Fletchinder has only reached that level 6 on their side, and the only one.
Yeah, in terms of scaling, Orange Juicers a mid to later scaling composition. Combuskin or Blaziken needs that level 7, level 8 to get the stance change Unite move, and then same thing for Talonflame, just now entering the fray at level 7, and now their Unite move in a couple more levels.
I think what's really interesting is we actually have no points on the board so far, despite Gatlu rocking this Dodrio. But instead, they're looking for some potential KOs as Eldegoss gets taken down. Talonflame hasn't been knocked on out, but that is just going to delay Orange Juicers a little bit more as we wait for these 720-minute birds to spawn.
Dance of the Speedsters, Dance of the Birds. Combuskin able to pull that wild Pokemon towards their side of the field, still struggling to get to even level 7. A fairly conservative game from either team. Level 8 on the Espeon, the first Unite move on the field.
Yeah, no Unite moves on hand for Orange Juicers as they are falling behind in levels. Gatlu going back for this blue buff, looking for that level 9. That way they have 2 Unite moves on hand as these objectives are here.
2 frontiers of battle are starting to form. Attackers in the bottom path along with their defenders. Rather slow clear of any objectives in this bottom path, but fairly good secure from either side. A slow rip from the Orange Juicers. Gotta watch out for the Espeon waiting in the tall grass. I don't think Zugrug knows the Espeon is there. Bruv doing their best to push Flareons back to their tier 1 goal zone, and it's just Zugrug down here. Here comes Flareons in the tall grass themselves, getting an auto attack stack. Here comes the Electro Ball, but Adesu with the capture.
Adesu locking in that Registeel buff for Nouns as the pressure is on. Flareon's able to grab themselves a berry, and it looks like Nouns Esports are looking to back on up, well, forced to back on up with this block.
Yeah, Orange Juicers is being pushed back to their tier 2 goal zone in the top path as well. So in terms of these 2 frontiers of battle, Nouns Esports is finding wins in both of them. Regieleki and the Registeel in the bottom path, taken by Nouns Esports.
112 points to 35 because of that push in the top path by Nouns Esports. Zugrug left all alone here with below half HP. The rest of the members scrambling about, trying to secure some wild Pokemon as they now make their way down.
112 to 35 as we just about eclipse the halfway point of the game. Orange Juicers, again, a later game scaling composition, now has a Blaziken with its Unite move, its Stance Change Unite move. You also have a Talonflame at level 10, but Pokemon to watch here, Dodrio, level 12, Gatlu running through the central area as we get a lot of vision of the Orange Juicers.
Bruv does have Unite move on hand if they need to go and dive on in, but the trick Phantomflaws is going to save them. Blaziken ends up getting taken down amongst the mix as Bruv HD is pushing hard for.
Here comes the Talonflame Brave Bird, as brave as you can do it with a sweep, pulling the Orange Juicers over to the right side of the field, but Nouns Esports, here comes the fast break forward. Indy brings the team to the bottom path. Here comes Gatlu with a KO streak of 4, and a penta KO for Gatlu on the Dodrio.
And this is just going to give him the chance to go and break this second tier 1 pad on the bottom. 256 to 35 points. 10 seconds left to go until that basement Reggie, but we do have that Regieleki that has popped on up as well.
Man, this Southern Reggie is going to be another frontier of battle, and Orange Juicers have been on their back foot. Be very wary of Pokemon in the tall grass, as one of my best friends loves to say. As we push on forward, the Orange Juicers needs to find a win here. Brave Birders find nothing. Regirock brought down to about 80% so far. Indy with 1 HP gets knocked out. I believe it was the Regirock bringing the boulders down.
Regirock, the paid actor in the Sky Ruins, playing up against Nouns, but we do have Orange Juicers still trying to find a way into this Regirock, as Toon is also going to try and come on in, but they end up getting distracted.
Oh, Zugrug. Zugrug is forced back to their side of the field, and Nouns Esports doing a fantastic job at holding on to this bottom path. They have a goal zone to retreat back to if they need to, but Nouns Esports is really taking hold of this game. More than a 250 or so point lead. This might be the time where Orange Juicers need to contemplate whether to push a pad or invest everything in that Rayquaza fight.
Yeah, we have that level 14 Dodrio is really going to have to be one that we have to keep an eye on. But Orange Juicers have the comeback experience on their side, making sure to clear it on up as Nouns is slowly on the mini-map, making their way closer.
1 minute remaining before the final stretch. Last time to use those Unite moves. Flame Sweeps finds nobody, even a wall. Anthea Sky Ruins, 45 seconds remaining. Orange Juicers needs to find some points on the board. This is becoming very dangerous to the point where Rayquaza is their only win condition. They still have tier 1 goal zones to work with, a massive exodus by the Orange Juicers down to the bottom path. They're going to break this goal zone, bring the score a little closer to parity behind them. It looks like both scored on the tier 2 goal zone, and the ambush by Nouns Esports might begin the final stretch early.
Yeah, 20 seconds left to go. We have Zugrug that is knocked out by Toon there, and now the chase is on. But it looks like Nouns are going to retreat, considering we are close to that Rayquaza. They do not want to overextend here.
Yeah, Orange Juicers is being forced back into their central area. Dodrio finds, I think that Blazic in the area, already bringing them down to 50%. The Tri-Attack are doing damage. Adazu through the wall, gets the knockout. Gatlu starting the fight early.
Toon is really low here as they end up getting a power nap straight on top of it. They're able to go and get the escape. Bruv is utilizing that Rings Unbound to go and retreat, but it's Bird versus Bird. Who's going to come out on top? It ends up being the Talonflame, but Kratos already got the knockout. As that Flame Sweep comes on out, they're going to retreat and get ready for the next engage.
Someone call the assist team, because the Claydol, I believe, got the assist there on Gatlu with their Dodrio. They are still on a cooldown time, waiting to return back into the game. 307, 117. Most of Nouns Esports is still in the central area.
Rayquaza is slowly getting kicked out by OG, but the fight is going to continue as Adazu is really low. They're able to take down the Talonflame once again. Rayquaza getting below half HP. This is going to be Orange Juice's chance to make a comeback if they can get this secure.
Oh, and the capture going to the Orange Juicers, finding some life here in game number 1. They have to get these scores in. Take a look at the right side of your screen here as OG is still forced back to their side of the field. They don't have enough points, Kello.
They don't have enough points, but Blaziken still has their shield. Gatlu is just going to make it a little bit more harder for them, being able to go and dunk in all of these little points. Orange Juicers have identified that, going to chase them off. But we can see down on that mini screen using that triple, breaking that goal, and 30 seconds left on the clock. We can still see OG and Roland have their Rayquaza shields.
Sudden death Pokemon Unite here. 2 shields for the Orange Juicers. A full top path to work with. Rolling it down, needs to get this done here in the top path. Mew going into their Unite move to cleanse some invincibility. Here comes the Brave Bird. Can they get some scores in? 90 points. Bang! Tier 2 down. Scoring on the Tier 2 in the bottom path. Hoopa scoring behind them. And this might be Orange Juicers' time to win game 1.
Hold your breaths, everyone. We're actually not sure who ended up winning that match. Well, I'm not sure. As we can see a little bit of confusion. There goes the scoreboard. It ends up being Orange Juicers. It isn't over just yet. It is a best of 3 after all. Orange Juicers do have that 1-up advantage, but bans are in. We have Leafeon and Talonflame, 2 speedsters locked on out, and Suicune and Armourouge ban? 1%? What is going on?
Kello, we saw 2% on the Azumarill on the last time we cast it, and now a 1% for Armourouge. So we're getting the lowest part of the statistics here in our ban slots. OG picking up the Garchomp and a Blissey. Love to see the shell to start.
Ooh, Garchomp plus Blissey helping hand. The shred that OJ can bring to this match. Nouns Esports, what are they going to answer back? Are they going to come back with some shred of their own?
I mean, possibly. I think whenever you need to deal with a Garchomp, it stays in the mid to short range for a long period of time. I love this Snorlax pick. Bruv, one of the best Snorlax players in the world. Definitely the best Snorlax player in EU. And paired with Ender on this Psyduck, this is Toon's best friend, right? There's a lot of crowd control in that mid to short range. Garchomp needs to be very careful, but I think the Safeguard Blissey is going to help very well in that short range.
Very interesting to see that Kratos has locked in that Dodrio to take that away from Gatlu. So what are they going to end up falling back on, considering, well, both of those birds are out? I mean, is this the time to see a Gatlu Greedent once again? Maybe
Gatlu
not.
Greedent. Toon on the Decidueye. I'm keeping my hands praised here, but another bird of prey coming out to play. But wow, Zeraora. I think this might be one of the first times we've seen this on broadcast. I know they were trying to pilot this Pokemon last year at Worlds. It didn't pan out so well, but this Pokemon is really powerful in the right hands.
Look, especially that discharge move, going into the amount of melee that Orange Juices are demonstrating here, that could prove to be quite damaging in those big team fights, especially with a Volt Switch to try and get yourself out of dodge. But Flareon's locking in this Ninetales. What do you think about this pick, Draco?
I really like it. I'm really interested to see the relationship between the Alola Ninetales and the Sylveon specifically. I know Adesu loves to play the Mystical Fire. There's not really any other Pokemon on the side of Nouns Esports that can take advantage for a Hyper Voice, because Hyper Voice reduces that special defenses, right? So Mystical Fire jumping on that Alola Ninetales, but at the same time, Alola Ninetales has a lot of threats in mid to short range that a Sylveon wouldn't like.
Yeah, though I guess one thing that Sylveon does have over Alola Ninetales, I'd say, is the maneuverability. Mystical Fire proving that little bit of a leap to either get themselves out of harm's way or even with that chase down. Alola Ninetales, I feel like, lacks that maneuverability, but it does have the ability to put up those walls and, well, stop people pushing on through.
Orange Juicers, Nouns Esports, again in a best of 3 situation here. It's definitely going to be a cat and mouse game between these two. That Dodrio trying to get to that Sylveon in the back line. Same thing with Toon, with the Zeraora getting to Flareons with their Alola Ninetales. Again, best of 3 single elimination Nouns Esports tournament life on the line.
And whoever ends up winning this set here is going to go up against a Revelation. But Nouns Esports are over on the purple. Orange Juices once again on the orange side.
Rocking some pretty cool holowares as they maneuver up to the top path. We got Superhero Psyduck, and maybe this is what Nouns Esports needs to get back into this game. They need a hero, and wow, Indy to be that person would be pretty poetic.
We'll have to see if they go from zero to hero here, as they do manage to secure some wild Pokemon for themselves, but OG isn't fussed for the moment. They have 18 Eos Energy on hand.
0 to hero, it's definitely not a Palafin I see in the top path. Another water-type Pokemon, a little bit more derpy. Really nice confirm there for Nouns Esports. It looks like both birds in the central area now maneuvering to this bottom path.
We do have these Bunnelbys still waiting, and it looks like Nouns are going to secure those before those 850 birds. But in this middle section here, Kratos has decided to grab themselves a Speed Berry, unable to land any of those tri-attacks on Gatlu.
Mirroring each other as they maneuver to the top path. Small healing there. Really nice ability there from Indy as the rest of the team of Orange Juicers able to get most of that wild Pokemon captured. Here comes the Swift Swim, Headache Gauge proc, and Goodbye first to fall.
Yeah, gets knocked down. Nouns Esports are looking to push their luck as Bruv and Gatlu are heading towards the bottom path, leaving once again Indy and Toon to deal with this Blissey. And, well, Alola Ninetales has actually retreated.
Yeah, level 5 in the Alola Ninetales pretty fast on their stage 2 evolution. Just like the evolutions, they get that evolution at level 4, with both abilities being available at level 6. Again, a very much stalemate of a game, very similar to game number 1. 0 points on the board, 2 minutes have already expired.
Yeah, we saw this earlier on, quite a slow match to actually get the dunks rolling on in, despite having a Dodrio on hand. But those birds are going to get soaked on up by Orange Juices. Nouns a little bit too late to the party.
As we see Orange Juicers moving down to the bottom path, a couple of their members pivoting up to the top path, chasing down, I believe, Indy on the Psyduck. 3 on 2 in this bottom path, and Psyduck, unfortunately, the hero, not this time.
We do have a Toon here looking to defend this goal as Kratos is circling about, waiting to see if they can dive on in, but no, looks like they're just going to play it safe for the time being and soak up some more wild Pokemon experience.
It's going to be a Discharge and Volt Switch Zera Aura. Love to see this Pokemon come out to play. You can get some pretty magnificent and spectacular plays if you're able to pull someone with a Discharge. Bruv going on forward, pushed into a wall by that Blizzard, is going to be the first to fall.
Yeah, and that's the thing, when that Blizzard hits the wall, it's able to just get that continuous damage, the freeze on their opponents. But so far, we have a level 8 Blaziken on the field, so that ability to switch up their movesets. No Unite moves on the side for Orange Juicers just yet.
Yeah, you got to be very careful for the Orange Juicers here. They're going for a faster rip on the Registeel, but their team really lacking on any sort of secure. Gatlu continuing the HP bar on the Registeel, brought down to 30% already. The only one down here is Zugrug, and is forced back to their goal zones. They are going to evacuate this bottom path, and Roland as well.
Well, Roland ended up doing what they needed to do with that 28 points in that bottom tier 1 pad, so they no longer have 0 points on the board. But heading on into the flux zone to go and retreat, Gatlu has decided to actually show them mercy and let them go.
Roland, I think you're on the wrong part of the map, buddy. I think you found yourself way too far in Nouns Esports territory. Of course, Nouns Esports in enemy territory here, the North American International Championships. Another fight breaking out in the central area, 2-on-1, Alola Ninetales down.
We do have that Regieleki still waiting in tow as Gatlu is going to begin the rip. Toon also using their Discharge and Volt Switch to go and assist them. Can they get the secure with this over? Yes, they do. Orange Juicers isn't inside. Instead, they're looking to just prioritize defense.
Again, Orange Juicers just kind of losing out on these smaller skirmishes. They do lose Toon, or they do KO Toon. That is the Orange Juicers. Regieleki still very much at full HP, about 80% HP. And Nouns Esports could potentially push this forward, but Bruv in the bottom path doesn't really have a front line. Daisy going to be using that floor, that Unite move to push on forward, make some room for the team, and the Regieleki to push in.
Yeah, the Sai to ward them back. Adesu with the chase, the 3 KO streak. The points are going to raid on in, and that is going to be a 37 overdunk, leading Nouns at 127 to 28. Indy dunking in 1 point because, well, why not?
100 points as we eclipse the halfway point of the game. OG going for a 1v1 against Adesu. It's a really interesting 1v1 potential there. Two very bulky Pokemon in their own right. Both teams right now just posturing up to potentially push this bottom path. Indy's going to get a lot of vision for the team. Bruv peeling away from their supportive Pokemon. Another objective, it is going to be another Roulette Reggie in the bottom path.
Heading on into this next fight, we can see that Nouns Esports have the 2 Unite moves on hand, but Orange Juicers have a lot more resources on hand, but otherwise block to try and survive OG. That's shredding up at Bruv. Go in with the power nap to get the stun, but OG is still left standing.
Got pulled by the Psychic as well. Regirock brought down to 30% already. Again, really good confirmation tools here. Here's the Alola Ninetales. It's just too late as the Blaziken once again overheat the confirmation tool of choice.
We have the fight continuing on as Nouns is looking to defend their pad. They're able to take down the Dodrio. Indy being able to leech back a Flareons, and they also get knocked down amongst the mix.
Blissful assistance from the Blissey into this livid, outraged, raging dragon, but it is a 1v4. They cannot hang on, and Nouns Esports, the fast break is just too fast for them to stop. Here comes the rest of the Orange Juicers. Another Unite move from Adesu, tries to lock in on the Alola Ninetales, and the defense is not strong enough as the offense of Nouns Esports is just too strong. 204
points to 102. It is still not over for Orange Juicers just yet, as we have a minute 30 left to go until the final stretch. Toon heading up to this Regieleki on their lane. We can see on the mini-map that Indy is looking to come and support them.
A moment of reprieve, 1 minute before the final stretch. 204, 102, multiplying their score by 2 exactly. It is more than a 1-score game, just slightly in the final stretch. As we can see on the mini-map, Orange Juicers making a move in the bottom path, breaking that goal zone. Regieleki easily going over to Nouns Esports. It's going to bounce to the T2, Adesu getting vision for the team.
Still 50 seconds left to go until this Rayquaza. Orange Juices do have the shred on hand, especially with this Garchomp. Nouns are aware of this. Instead, they're going to go and take position in this chokehold. Toon just poking the bear that is Kratos. Well, they're a bird, not a bear.
Pokemon to watch here, of course, is going to be that Blaziken. It is going to be pivotal for the Orange Juicers to take down this Pokemon specifically. It's the best securing tool on the side of Orange Juicers. Their tool is maybe the Alola Ninetales, and that's just about it. Maybe a Blissful Assistance. They do find out Toon here. Really nice boosted auto, tri-attack combination there. Will get the knockout and will give them positional advantage. More points going into the Tier 2. Kratos is going to bring the score lead over to them, and it is a close game, Kello.
204 to 234 as we are heading on into this final stretch. Rayquaza has appeared. Overheat doesn't end up landing on anyone. Brav being able to catch out Flareon, pushing up against the wall, but we have Gatlu getting slapped down by that Blissey.
That's the Pokemon they need to take down, and take a look at OG in the central area, already working on the Rayquaza, bringing down the 50%. Blissful Assistance already used. This is a dig chomp, by the way. Here comes the Livid Outrage trying to find Toon in the backline. Can they get that knockdown? No, it's too fast, and the teams will go to parity once again.
OG knows what they have to do is to rip, but they need to try and... Actually, no, they don't need to rip. They have the lead here. But we have Nouns Esports respawning. No Unite moves on hand for either side, even though we have the Blaziken. But oh my gosh, the isolation onto Zugrug. They're able to make it on out though.
Here's the second attempt to rip the Rayquaza, brought down to 50%. This time might be it. This is what dreams are made on. Nouns Esports life is on the line, and I think that was the Alolan Ninetales with the secure Flareons finding his MVP moment.
That is a team wipe on the side of Nouns Esports. They're unable to go and stop these dolls as these hundos are going to raid on through Orange Juices, being able to take down Nouns in a 2-0 sweep. Because, I mean, 204, 634, 740. Well, that's a tough mountain to climb.
That is a tough mountain to climb indeed, and they are going to be sending EU's only representative here, the North American International Championships, home. Not immediately, but they are going to be sending them to the viewer slot as 20 seconds remaining, and Orange Juicers Revelation will be your semi-final set.
Wow, we had just an incredible match there. Indy going and circling about, because I guess they are friends. Zugrug and Indy ended up playing on the same team a while back, but there we go. Orange Juices are the match winners, as we can see the crowd showing their support by shaking their plushies.
Let's say these two teams have a very large fan base, both here in New Orleans, but also at home as well. If you are tuning in from home, again, thank you so much for watching the North American International Championships for the final stretch. Going to be moving on, at least Orange Juicers will be moving on in a very confident win as well. A 2-0 victory for them. They should be feeling very well, especially beating the representative from EU.